Among 50 VIP guests, the bonnet of a Ferrari stood wide open, and in the center, a black car detailer was being humiliated in front of everyone. The CEO smirked and said, "Fix this Ferrari, and it's yours, but someone like you could never do it." The air froze. People chuckled. Others looked away. No one believed in him. What they didn't know was this single moment of public humiliation, another man's arrogance, and a hidden genius standing quietly in the crowd was about to begin a life-changing story the world would never forget. Every morning began the same way for Darius, an invisible man in a bright orange vest, polishing cars worth more than his annual income. And every morning, Sterling Caldwell, the CEO of Caldwell Motors, found a new way to remind him of his place. Sometimes it was a smirk. Sometimes it was a joke slipped between champagne glasses. But most days, it was public humiliation, served cold, with an audience. For 6 long months, Darius endured it. Sterling would wave him over in front of VIP guests, point at a tiny smudge on a luxury car, and say loudly, "Maybe detailing is too complicated for you. Want me to draw pictures next time?" Laughter followed. Every time, Darius swallowed it. Every time. But the humiliation reached a new level the day the Ferrari arrived, a rare model. Red like fire. Beautiful and completely unpredictable. It stalled without warning. Sometimes on the highway, sometimes just as the engine started. No warning lights. No error codes. A ghost in the machine. Point 5 certified mechanics had already tried and failed. Point 1 of them even said, "This thing shouldn't even be possible. Cars don't behave like this." Sterling, of course, turned the problem into a spectacle. He loved showing off the mystery car that even experts couldn't solve. And whenever it stalled in front of guests, he used it as another chance to mock Darius. Hey, maybe Darius can fix it. He's very talented at wiping mirrors. Again, the crowd laughed. But this time, something was different. The VIPs weren't laughing as hard. A few glanced at Darius with discomfort. The couple shifted awkwardly. Point 1 woman folded her arms, clearly uneasy. Because humiliation is entertaining until it stops being funny. And that afternoon, as the Ferrari coughed, sputtered, and died again, something in the air shifted, and Sterling never noticed. Long before Darius stood in a luxury showroom wiping fingerprints off million-dollar cars, he lived in a tiny 2-room house on the south side, where engines on broken lawnmowers and abandoned bikes became his closest friends. And every story of his life began with one woman, Grandma Rosa. She was small, warm, stubborn as winter roots, and always smelled faintly of engine oil and lavender. Most evenings, little Darius sat on the cracked porch beside her as she repaired old radios or tuned up neighborhood cars for a few dollars. While other kids played ball, he watched his grandmother work, with hands that moved like they could hear something no one else could. One night, as she leaned over an old Chevy's engine, she whispered the words that shaped his life forever. "Machine Hamesha Bolti High, Darius." A machine always speaks. He was 6 and confused. Machines talk? Rosa smiled, tapped his forehead, and said, "You listen here, and here." She pressed his chest, "And the machine will tell you where it hurts." He never forgot that a childhood built from scraps. By 10, Darius was taking apart radios for fun. By 12, he could fix a motorbike engine faster than grown men in the neighborhood. But life didn't reward brilliance. It punished poverty. His mother worked double shifts. His father disappeared. And money was always a shadow they couldn't outrun. So Darius learned to survive. He collected scrap metal after school, sold repaired lawnmowers, and helped neighbors with small engine repairs in exchange for food. But every time he opened a machine, he felt something deeper, like he could sense its rhythm, its heartbeat, its language. Some people saw numbers, some saw chaos. Darius saw patterns, and patterns never lied. The self-taught engineer. By 16, he spent nights watching free online lectures on automotive engineering, cracked screens, slow Wi-Fi, and all that. He scribbled diagrams on old cardboard pieces that he memorized sounds. Engine knocks, misfires, timing slips. The way musicians memorize notes. Point 1 mechanic once told him, "Boy, you think you're special?" Darius didn't answer, but he knew he had something rare. Mechanical intuition, the natural ability to understand a machine's soul. Still, the world did not care about raw talent without a degree, without money, without connections. So he ended up where society placed people like him. Cleaning cars of men who would never believe what he was capable of. 6 months under Sterling working under CEO Sterling Caldwell was like being trapped in a loop of quiet despair. Darius had applied for a junior mechanic role, but he was told those positions required a degree. Try cleaning. They said, you'll fit better. He needed the money. He said yes. But what Sterling saw was not a hard worker. He saw someone easy to mock, easy to ignore. While Sterling laughed, boasted, insulted, and performed for the wealthy elite, Darius kept doing what he always did, observing. Every engine told a story. Every car left a trail. And for 6 months, he memorized the entire fleet that he noticed. Which cars had slight timing irregularities, which engines overheated when idling, which gearboxes hesitated before shifting, which cars had faulty sensors long before they triggered warnings. He kept notes in a small black book he hid inside his cleaning bag, blueprints, sketches, coding ideas for diagnostics, observations no one asked for, no one valued. But he documented everything anyway, because hidden genius is still genius. And then came the Ferrari, the mystery machine. The first day it arrived, Darius felt something was wrong the moment it rolled in. There was a hesitation in the rev, a fractional delay. A whisper. While Sterling bragged about the rare model and belittled the mechanics who failed, Darius quietly stood in the background, listening. The car's problem wasn't random. It was rhythmic, intermittent but patterned. He took notes obsessively. Every stall, every hiccup, every sputter. He even mapped out the timing intervals on a piece of cardboard, hidden under used towels to avoid Sterling's eyes. That he knew what the mechanics didn't. The Ferrari wasn't stalling randomly. It was trying to protect itself. That a small internal safeguard, tripped by a subtle imbalance no computer could detect. Darius didn't have access to proper tools, so he built his own. Inside his cleaning cart, cleverly hidden under sprays and towels, he stored a homemade OBD scanner, a miniature thermal rheodermicro sensors he salvaged from old appliances, his grandmother's tiny screwdriver set, and a tablet with cracked edges. Running software, he coded himself. If Sterling knew what tools he carried in that bag, he would have fired him instantly. The email that could have changed everything. One night, after the showroom closed, Darius stayed behind. He connected his homemade scanner to the Ferrari and captured data for hours. Engine temperature ranges, timing inconsistencies, fuel pressure patterns. His findings were shocking. That he wrote a detailed report, clear, professional, better than half the engineers in the building could have written. That he titled it, Probable Root Cause Analysis. Ferrari intermittent stalling issue. With shaking hands, he emailed it to Sterling with a respectful note. Sir, I believe I have identified the issue. Please review this report. Then he waited. A day passed. 2 days. A week. Nothing. Finally, he checked the sent status, and there it was. Your message was marked as spam and automatically deleted. Sterling never saw it, never cared, never imagined that the car detailer he mocked every day had just solved a problem that 5 certified experts couldn't. That night, Darius sat alone in the employee parking lot, staring at the sky. For a moment, his hope cracked, but then he remembered Rose's voice. Machine Hamesha Bolti High. A machine always speaks to SO. He whispered back, I hear you. And the Ferrari silently waited for the one person who truly could. The day Darius's life changed didn't arrive quietly. IT roared in with bright lights, polished marble floors, and the electric hum of anticipation spreading through Caldwell motors like a storm building behind glass. IT began with Sterling Caldwell's voice, smooth, loud, and dripping with arrogance. The trap, ladies and gentlemen, Sterling announced, tapping his champagne glass. I have a very special surprise today. 50 VIP guests turned toward him. Cameras were raised. Assistants rushed to adjust the lighting. It felt like a product launch, but the star wasn't ACAR.IT was humiliation. With theatrical flair, Sterling gestured toward the red Ferrari positioned at the center of the showroom. Its hood was lifted, its engine exposed like a wounded animal. You all know this beauty, he continued. The Ferrari that 5 certified mechanics failed to fix. The crowd murmured. Some laughed. And today we're going to have a little fun. Darius froze in place. His cleaning rag dropped onto the tile. Sterling extended an arm toward him. A spotlight followed. Darius, our expert car detailer. Laughter rippled. Darius felt his stomach tighten. I'm offering a challenge, Sterling said. Fix this Ferrari's stalling problem. Live in front of everyone. And I'll give you, he paused dramatically, $50,000. And the car itself. Gasps. Whispers. A few phones started recording already. But, Sterling added, smirking, if you fail in front of this live audience, well, no harm done. You keep your job, and we all get a good show. Darius felt heat rise behind his eyes. This wasn't an opportunity, it was a setup, a trap crafted to embarrass him publicly, to finally finish 6 months of relentless humiliation with one grand finale. He opened his mouth to refuse, but fate had other plans. The unexpected guest, Dr. Santos' calm voice emerged from the back of the showroom. Sterling, are you sure you want to do this? Heads turned, and from behind a display of luxury motorcycles stepped a tall woman in a dark blazer. Her silver badge reflected the showroom lights. Dr. Amelia Santos, chief engineer at Redline Diagnostics Point, one of the top automotive minds in the country. Sterling's face twitched. Dr. Santos, I didn't know you'd be attending. She raised an eyebrow. You invited me. And then she turned to Darius. You're Darius Grant? He nodded nervously. Yes, ma'am. I've been hearing about you, she said quietly. Hearing what? Sterling interrupted, laughing nervously. Dr. Santos tilted her head. Your email system flagged a root cause report on the Ferrari. Very detailed. Very accurate. From his account. Sterling's smile vanished. That was spam. It wasn't, Santos replied sharply. It was better than the reports I've seen from trained engineers. Gasps. Head snapped toward Darius. He felt his heart pounding in his chest. Someone had actually read it. Someone important. Sterling, she added, if you're offering a challenge, I'd like to supervise. Sterling's ego forced a grin onto his face. Of course. But Dr. Santos wasn't the only one watching. Victoria Carter notices near the front row stood a woman with a posture of authority, sharp suit, calm expression, and an aura that suggested she wasn't impressed by anyone. Victoria Carter, CEO of Carter Autotech, multi-billionaire, a legend in the automotive world. She wasn't recording the event like the others. She was studying Darius. After a moment, she stepped closer and said, Young man, is it true that you sent a diagnostic analysis for this car? Darius swallowed hard. Yes, ma'am. Did you copy it from somewhere? No, he met her eyes with quiet confidence. I figured it out myself. Something flickered in her expression, interest and respect. Then I will make you a promise, she said. If you can fix this car today, in front of this audience, I'll offer you a full-time diagnostic position at Carter Autotech. 6-figure salary, benefits, training, growth. The room exploded with murmurs. Sterling's jaw dropped. Victoria, you can't be serious. She didn't look at him. I'm very serious. Darius felt the world tilt under his feet. A job, a real future, a way out. And then the cameras turned toward him. The live audience. Sterling clapped loudly, masking his panic. All right, since we have such high interest, let's make this official. He gestured to his staff, who rushed around setting up equipment. Tripods, microphones, phone stands. A neon sign blinked on. Caldwell Motors, Live Challenge. Within minutes, the entire showroom was streaming across multiple platforms. Comments flooded the screens visible to the crowd. LOL, this guy is dead. No way he's fixing a Ferrari. CEO is a jerk. Let the man try. Darius's heart thundered. Cameras were pointing at him from all angles. The VIP guests whispered behind their hands. But in the chaos, one steady presence anchored him. Dr. Santos approached quietly and whispered, Stay calm. I've read your notes. You know this car better than anyone here. Darius inhaled deeply. He wasn't standing in a showroom anymore. He was on his grandmother's porch, listening to a machine speak. The challenge begins. All right, Sterling said, clapping his hands. Darius, the clock starts now. You have 1 hour. 1 hour. Dr. Santos snapped. This isn't a tire change. But Darius shook his head. It's okay. I won't need an hour. The audience murmured. Sterling laughed loudly. Confidence. Let's see if it survives the first minute. Darius approached the Ferrari slowly, like he was greeting an old friend. He placed his hand gently on the engine cover, closed his eyes, and listened. The room fell strangely quiet. Then he opened his cleaning bag and revealed the hidden tools that stunned the crowd. A custom OBD reader, a thermal scanner, a cracked tablet with a diagnostic interface. He had coated himself. The microsensors neatly wrapped. his grandmother's tiny screwdriver set. Sterling sputtered. What? What is that? You brought your own tools. Dr. Santos smirked. That's called preparation. The live stream comments exploded. This is sick. He built his own scanner? Let the man cook. Darius connected the scanner. The Ferrari coughed once. Lights flickered, and then the data started flooding his tablet. Numbers cascading like a waterfall. He saw it instantly. He recognized the rhythm. The protective fail-safe trigger pattern, just like he had theorized. But he didn't announce it. He didn't brag. He simply reached for a micro screwdriver and said softly, I know what's wrong. Cameras zoomed in. People held their breath. Sterling nervously laughed. We'll see about that. Victoria Carter folded her arms. I believe him. Dr. Santos smiled. Let him work. Darius leaned over the engine, feeling the way Rosa taught him, not listening, to understanding. In that moment, the world watched a car detailer transform into what he truly was. A hidden genius finally stepping into the light. And the challenge that began as a trap was now becoming a turning point, a shift in destiny, a rewriting of fate, a live moment that would soon explode across the world. And Sterling Caldwell had no idea. He had just handed the spotlight to the one man capable of outshining him. Completely. The entire showroom had fallen into a strange, reverent silence. Darius wasn't supposed to be the center of anything, at least not in Sterling Caldwell's world. But now, under a crown of bright showroom lights and dozens of recording phones, he looked like something entirely different. A man stepping into who he was always meant to be. He exhaled slowly, steadying his hands over the Ferrari's heart. And then, the genius awakened. Point one. Listening to the machine, Darius leaned closer and pressed a small acoustic sensor, something he had built from a salvaged microphone, against the Ferrari's timing cover. His tablet lit up with waveforms and frequency variations. The crowd murmured. What is he doing? Someone whispered. But Dr. Santos understood. Her eyes widened. He's conducting an acoustic analysis, she murmured to Victoria Carter. By ear. He adjusted the sensor slightly. Only a few millimeters. The graph on his tablet shifted. There it was. The anomaly. A low-frequency hum, barely detectable, hidden beneath the engine's natural vibrations. 0.847 hertz. A perfect spike. And tied to it, a faint harmonic frequency at 1240 hertz. Darius smiled softly. Got you, he whispered. Victoria stepped closer. What did you find? He didn't look up. He was in flow. In that rare, beautiful zone where intuition and experience merged into clarity. There's a resonance happening at 847 hertz, he said. And the harmonic at 1240. That's the giveaway. To what? Sterling barked. Darius finally looked at him. A loose aluminum bracket. That's where every failure begins. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Impossible. One of the mechanics muttered. We checked the brackets. Darius nodded. Yes, but only visually. You didn't test for dynamic resonance. Dr. Santos's lips curved into a slow smile. He's right. 2. Mapping the heat next. Darius picked up his pocket-sized thermal scanner and traced the Ferrari's intake manifold, fuel rail, and timing belt tensioner. The screen displayed live temperature contours, waves of red, orange, and yellow. He frowned. There, he pointed out a section behind the alternator glowed slightly hotter than expected, by just 4 degrees. To the untrained eye, nothing. To Darius, everything. That bracket, he explained, is expanding unevenly at temperature. When it hits 73 degrees Celsius, exactly 73, it shifts just enough to trigger the fail-safe. The audience was astonished. You're telling me, Sterling mocked, that a multi-million-dollar Ferrari is dying because of heat? No, Darius replied calmly. Because of precision. He held up his scanner again. This car requires the bracket to be installed at precisely 73 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, the expansion coefficient throws off the vibration damping. Victoria whistled softly. That's aerospace-level sensitivity. Dr. Santos nodded. All performance cars have microtolerances. But this is remarkable work. Sterling looked like he had swallowed a lemon. 3. The systemic diagnosis. Now Darius opened his cracked tablet and created a quick diagram. Vibration resonance, model temperature expansion, curve timing fluctuation, chart fail-safe activation sequence lines, percentages, angles. He filled the screen with the precision of a trained engineer. Here's what's happening, he said to the room. when the bracket vibrates at 847 Hz. It reaches harmonic lock with the camshaft rotation at around 1240 Hz. The car senses unstable rotation and initiates microprotection mode. So it stalls, Victoria said, completing his sentence. Exactly. But why only sometimes? Dr. Santos asked, testing him. Because the condition only happens when the bracket reaches exactly 73 degrees Celsius, Darius replied without hesitation. Not 72. Not 74. 73. The guest stared at him like he was a magician. What 5 mechanics missed, Dr. Santos said. He just solved in 20 minutes. But Darius wasn't finished. Now, he said, rolling up his sleeves, it's time to fix it. 4. The repair he reached behind the Ferrari's engine bay, into a tight space no camera could easily capture, and felt for the bracket. There you are, he whispered that he loosened it gently, adjusted the angle by less than 2 degrees, tightened it again, and monitored the heat signature as the engine warmed 71 degrees C, 72 degrees C, 73 degrees C, at perfect alignment. Then, he calibrated the vibration damping strip by hand. All right, he said softly. Let's test it. 5. Recreating the failure conditions, Sterling scoffed. You're not done yet. You have to prove the failure is gone. Darius nodded. I plan to. He walked around the Ferrari and recreated every condition he had studied over 6 months. Cold start, warm start, idle at low RPM, sudden throttle, rapid deceleration, high heat load, AC. On max incline angle simulation, the engine purred. Smooth. Consistent. Perfect. People clapped. Some cheered. But Darius wasn't satisfied. He climbed into the driver's seat. Open the showroom doors. What? Sterling snapped up. Dr. Santos smiled. He wants a real-world test. Victoria grinned. Let him drive. 6. The Beverly Hills test run within minutes. The Ferrari glided onto the sunlit streets of Beverly Hills, cameras mounted on the dash streaming live to thousands. Victoria sat in the passenger seat. Dr. Santos sat behind her with 2 mechanics, and Sterling sat miserably in the back, gripping the armrest. Darius shifted into first gear. The engine growled. Smooth, powerful, confident, he took it through. Cold intersections, narrow turns uphill, climbs, aggressive acceleration, lanes tight, residential curves, traffic light, sheet heavy, stop and go traffic, every condition under which the Ferrari had failed before. And for 45 flawless minutes, the car performed like a dream. No stalling, no hiccups, not a single flicker of instability. At the 20-minute mark, Dr. Santos whispered, almost in disbelief. He fixed it. At the root, Victoria added. Not a patch, an actual solution. Even the live stream comments exploded. He's a genius. Hire him, please. Sterling looks like he's suffering, and it's hilarious. This is history. Meanwhile, Sterling stared at the back of Darius's head, horror creeping into his expression. He hadn't just made a mistake. He had handed the spotlight, and his company's dignity, to the very man he tried to break. Point 7. The return to the showroom. When Darius parked the Ferrari back inside, the crowd erupted into applause. People rushed forward, shaking his hand, cheering, capturing every moment. He stepped out, wiped his palms on his pants, and looked almost shy. A quiet genius and used to recognition. Victoria stepped onto the stage beside him and spoke first. In my 25 years in this industry, I have never seen diagnostic intuition like this. Darius, your talent is extraordinary. Dr. Santos added. Most engineers take years to reach this level. You didn't just fix the car. You understood the car. Then the crowd fell silent, waiting for Sterling's forced declaration, because he had no escape now. No more mocking, no more humiliating, no more hiding behind arrogance. The trap, Sterling said, had snapped shut around him instead, and Darius, finally, publicly, stood in full brilliance. The genius had awakened, and the world was watching. The moment Darius stepped out of the Ferrari, cheeks warm with disbelief and the engine humming like a flawless symphony behind him, the world shifted. Not just the showroom, not just the people watching, the world, because the live stream, intended as Darius's public humiliation, had exploded beyond anyone's expectations. 10 minutes after the test drive, 120,000 views. 15 minutes after, 500,000. By the time Darius picked up a bottle of water with trembling hands, the number had crossed 2.7 million. People watching live, and they weren't watching Sterling. They were watching the quiet, brilliant man Sterling mocked for half a year shine. The collapse of Sterling Caldwell while applause thundered through the showroom. Sterling stood frozen in place, pale and drenched in panic. The comments flooding the giant screen overhead were merciless. Fire the racist CEO. Treating him like dirt? Disgusting. Replace Sterling with Darius. Justice for the genius. And then came the journalists, and the sponsors, and the board members. Within hours, the clips were everywhere. Darius solving the acoustic resonance, Darius identifying the 847 Hz / 1240 harmonic, Darius explaining the 73 degrees Celsius bracket, Sterling mocking him, Sterling laughing, Sterling belittling him, Sterling's face. When the Ferrari ran perfectly, no PR team on earth could save him. By sunset, Sterling had lost his PR agent, lost his board support, lost his investors, lost his brand partnerships. By midnight, his wife released a statement. I will not remain married to someone who builds success on humiliation. By morning, lawsuits from former employees surfaced, a pattern of discrimination, intimidation, and unethical business practices. Within 48 hours, Sterling was forced to resign. Within 72 hours, bankruptcy filings began. Within a week, the once powerful CEO could not walk into a restaurant without whispers following him like ghosts. Sterling Caldwell didn't just fall, he collapsed under the weight of his own cruelty. Publicly, painfully, completely. The rise of Darius Grant while Sterling's empire crumbled. Darius's life ignited like sunrise breaking after a storm. Victoria Carter made her offer official on camera, a six-figure diagnostic engineer role at Carter Autotech. The position is yours, if you want it, Dr. Santos added, and I'd like to personally mentor you. Your mind deserves the world. But the offers didn't stop there. By the time Darius walked home that night, his inbox overflowed. $80,000 signing bonus from a European hypercar brand, $120,000 offer from a racing team, $200,000 project-based consulting for a startup, a university wanting him to help design a new diagnostic curriculum, 3 magazines requesting cover interviews, and the live stream that humiliated him. It hit 14 million views in 24 hours. People around the world wrote, "You're my inspiration. I want to learn mechanics because of you. Thank you for proving talent can come from anywhere." But most importantly, he received the two things Sterling promised only as a joke, the Ferrari and the $50,000. Except now, they didn't feel like trophies. They felt like chapters closing. Darius didn't want revenge. He wanted purpose. So he took that money, added it to the first consulting check he received, and opened Grant Precision Diagnostics, a state-of-the-art facility built not for luxury, but for learning, accessibility, and excellence. Within months, engineers from Japan, Germany, Italy, and Brazil flew in just to watch him work. Automotive schools partnered with him. Companies asked him to review prototypes. Car enthusiasts referred to him as the machine whisperer, the 847 Hz genius, a modern-day prodigy, a legend, born from humiliation, forged in skill, crowned in truth to Rose's final wisdom. And on the day his diagnostic center opened, Darius placed a small wooden frame on his desk. Inside it was a photo of Grandma Rosa, smiling the way she always had, eyes warm, hands stained with engine oil. That he whispered the words she taught him as a child. Machine Hamesha Bolti High. A machine always speaks. Then he added softly, a truth he learned the hard way. But sometimes the world finally listens. And that was the story of a man the world tried to humiliate, but destiny turned him into a legend. A reminder for all of us. Greatness doesn't need permission. It just needs one moment, and the courage to rise when everyone is laughing at you. If this story touched your heart, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel ***, and turn on the notifications, because the next story is even more powerful, more emotional, and more unbelievable. I'll see you in the next video.